Hello and welcome back to episode 2 of season 2 of The Spectrum. Today we're joined here by me, Darren.
I'm Roshan.
Me, Mustafa.
I'm Ali.
I'm Zio.
I'm Issa.
Me, Adi.
And it's been a bit, maybe a couple months or so, but what's happening now, guys?
World
Cup.
World Cup.
Are you guys doing the sweepstake in your forms?
Yeah.
You
know
what? We tried to.
Let me tell you,
Netherlands as well.
I've got a third mass form, so there's nothing like that going on.
Wait, who did you guys want to
Absolutely
get?
nothing.
You did good.
We haven't done it, but in my personal one, I got Denmark.
Interesting.
I got Netherlands and like some other country. Australia, I got Australia.
I have Denmark and Croatia.
So I'm in Ecuador in my personal one.
I got Netherlands and Ghana.
I got Tunisia and Wales. Okay. None of us have a chance for winning.
No.
In the
Yeah,
end.
no,
And
Netherlands. All we have
No.
done.
Yeah, there's no big
Maybe.
case. But
Netherlands, yeah.
in any case,
I'm thinking Denmark, and they've got a dark horse. I think Denmark is dark.
No, I think Uruguay actually.
Even though they drew
They
against
drew
Tunisia.
Tunisia.
They drew
Yeah,
against
they drew
Tunisia.
against Tunisia.
but That was the warm up.
Big
I
up
think
Tunisia,
Japan
man.
has a chance, guys.
Did you watch the matches?
That's
you know,
outside
you
the
know,
Sunlight.
I was on the
you know
back.
that their kit is designed by
blue lock.
The Blue Samurais or something.
I was wondering what all the TikTok comments were on that.
Yeah, but in any case,
It's a
today's
demographic, though.
It's a bit of a special
Points
one.
to
today's episode we're gonna have a little bit of a debate.
Yeah.
We're gonna discuss about the issues on Qatar and where we all lie, in
the
terms
spectrum.
of, on the spectrum regarding that decision.
I'll do a bit of background. So Qatar, they officially got their bid accepted in 2010 when Sepp Blatter was the FIFA president, and one of the big hooking points was that it was going to be the first carbon neutral World Cup to go ahead. So they were given 12 years to try and set everything up and try to keep it as eco-friendly as possible. And like looking back, Sepp Blatter came out and said it was a big mistake to have the World Cup there because almost all of the targets that they set, none of them were even attempted. So that's like one of the very, very different things about this World Cup, as well as the fact it's in the winter instead of the summer as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in the winter because it was like ruled as one of the worst countries where the World Cup would be hosted because the temperature is really hot in summer. There's no football culture around Qatar.
No.
Is
It's
there?
minimal.
Compared to
people like
Europe and even compared to
Oh no,
North
you can
America.
see their football culture when they walk out on the 70th minute of their game
Yeah.
in their first game of the World Cup.
Yeah.
Like, that's disgraceful.
Do you think you see a lot of Qatari fans for other teams though? You've seen a lot of but that's like whether they're paying them off.
I
thought
that's a massive problem.
Qatari fans for Man City as well.
Okay, so on the so a lot of people, there's a lot of TikToks and a lot of videos about these Qatari fans turning up as Germany fans, Japan fans, all over this. I think first of all the main one was for security, to see how they would react to like such a huge crowd coming in. So they had to do that for security reasons. But also I don't think they should be condemned for supporting Japan, supporting whoever they want to support. And I think that, like, for example, we live in England. I could support the Netherlands, and it won't make any difference. So, I think that's like a perfectly fine reason to support.
I think one of the issues though is that a lot of the fans coming together. That's like one of the unique things about the World Cup. But a lot of those very natural things are trying to be made in like a more artificial sense. Do you know what I mean?
Was it not that people getting paid to
Yeah,
actually
it feels like slightly forced. I can understand why they do it because they want to like rile up the community. But it does feel slightly forced in terms of the pre build up.
And that's one of the many reasons why I'll start off. I don't think it should be held in Qatar in the first place.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. There's no football culture, and also the eco-friendly aspect was completely ignored. I think £220 billion were spent on it, compared to 20 billion for other tournaments. So it's like 11
football
times.
culture is a huge.
Yeah, I was going to take him up on that because
South Africa didn't have massive football culture.
and also having it in a place where there isn't much football culture does develop that, which I think was one of the ideas they were trying to bring, like football to the Middle East where it isn't as renowned historically.
Yeah.
You can't also forget the corruption aspect, which isn't unique to Qatar, but it definitely has been very
I mean, you
prominent.
saw
It's been brought up quite a bit recently, especially regarding Qatar, Ecuador, but obviously the result.
The result
didn't go
comes
to
out,
yeah.
I think when it comes to this question, should it be held in Qatar? No, I don't. But I think it kind of comes from the idea of right and wrong, and I just feel like with this situation, the fact that everyone's kind of jumping on this bandwagon of saying no, and everyone's hating on it is really harmful. It kind of annoys me as well to some degree. For example, when it comes to the human rights thing, right? Yeah, the human rights isn't great, but it's like they're trying to make this really big spectacle about it, and it's like they can only focus on that when kind of, say for example, I was talking maybe about Gary Lineker and the BBC, and
the BBC,
The
annoys me
BBC
so much.
is
Because
showing how biased it is.
yeah, it's very showy. Like the whole idea of him delivering this powerful speech has obviously been like written up.
Instead of airing the opening series.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and then it's like the BBC is literally built on like
Tax-based
exploiting people,
Yeah.
and it's like
You have to
Just
remember
'cause-
the extent of the human rights
Exactly.
violations
I
in
think
Qatar. Though.
To the workers.
okay, no, let's
The
talk
problem
about.
is-
Okay, let's talk about them.
With Qatar, I think the main problem that people should be focusing on was the migrant workers' conditions.
Yeah.
That is horrific, right?
Yeah.
That should not have been happening. And
Yeah.
I think the focus tends to be a lot more towards politicizing this World Cup and bringing in completely different arguments against it.
Yeah,
Whereas
but
I thought,
okay, it's 200 migrant workers are dead. Yeah,
Yeah.
or roughly around.
I thought it was like 6,500.
I thought it was more, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Since-
6,500.
I think it's way worse if it gets to 6,000.
Yeah, that's over 12 years. So
Okay, say 6,500. It's like that is a massive problem, and it's disgusting, and it should be kind of looked at and solved. But there's so many other problems in the world. For
Well,
example,
that-
for example, like there's probably 6,500 people who've died today from causes that they shouldn't be dying of.
But
And
the
it's
thing
like
is, if it's not
This is
6,500,
preventable.
yeah, what was the cut-off point for you then? If it's not 600,
no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying there is
The
a
number's
cut for
not
anything.
wrong.
I'm saying it's wrong, flat out. But it's like it's just everyone's jumping on this bandwagon to hate like this emerging Arab country seeing some success, and everyone's like, no, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. But it's like you've made just as many mistakes, if not more.
yeah, Piers Morgan raised a good point. He was like, if Qatar isn't morally clean enough to run a World Cup,
Yeah,
then
no
who
worries.
is going to be? Because let's say we had it in Britain, like the country who illegally invaded Iraq.
Yeah.
If we have it in US,
it's very hypocritical.
think about the US is like abortion laws, for example.
And
that's the example.
Even
we
with
gave.
US, I think it will be held in US in 28.
yeah.
But it's like, where's the football culture then? Really and
Yeah.
truly.
Yeah.
You see stuff, and yeah, another problem is
Stop
the
it.
amount of stuff you see on social media. It's just like, that annoys me as well. Because it's like, with the fans thing, right? From what I've seen from the games, you don't just have like massive clumps of like 100 Indian men supporting like England, for example. You do see nationals from the country,
Yeah.
for example. For the Welsh game, there are plenty of Welsh people there.
But there's lots of also like spaces in the stadium. There's so
Yeah,
many
there are.
seats.
Yeah.
So
But I think that's more because of Qatar just not being a sort of place you'd want to go to.
No,
watch it.
I don't.
I think
no,
that's so
I disagree with
expensive.
that.
There's
I
no-
disagree with
argument,
that.
like-
It's not uncommon for like sporting companies to overwrite how
Yeah.
many fans they
Yeah.
like it happens in the
South
UFC,
Africa
it
as
happens
well.
in a lot of football games because I think for the opener they said there was 5, so the stadium capacity was 40,000.
Yeah, they said it was.
And the official number was 45,000.
Yeah.
But like there's videos of like
Yeah,
empty
yeah.
seats and stuff.
do you think the issue that people have with Qatar is based around race or religion?
I think it's maybe there underlying to some degree. Obviously, no one's going to say, no, I don't want it to be held there because it's an Islamic country. But it heavily insinuated, for example, the alcohol stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's have a debate about the
think-
alcohol.
I think it's a
On that
cultural
point-
difference between.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
No,
no, but I think it's
that's-
the
yeah,
West
that's-
have an issue with anyone.
Yeah,
But
I think
also-
on that point, it's perpetuated by the media. They
Yeah,
push
but
that.
no,
agenda,
let's talk about
at least
alcohol
softly.
specifically. None of the Arab countries are going to have a problem with that. None of the African countries are really going to have a problem with that. There's even in other countries, there'll be plenty of people there that don't even have a problem with that.
The fact that you
And
can't
it was
drink
also-
That you can't drink
And it was
alcohol.
also banned in the 2018
I'm in
France
France,
World
so you
Cup.
can't get it.
You couldn't get it around the
Yeah.
stadium.
Yeah, so exactly. It's
Suddenly
like
it's a problem now.
That was 2018 France.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's from
I thought
Russia.
No, Russia.
Is it
Russia.
Russia, like
When it was- when it was
football
held-
games?
I didn't even know that. But then it's like, okay, they've like I haven't even seen that. But it's like, no, Muslim country, no alcohol, we hate it. So that's how
I
it
heard
is.
something about Budweiser pulling out last minute or being
No. Oh no,
Yeah.
this is the other problem,
trophy.
right? Alcohol was originally set to be sold there, right? So and FIFA had a deal with Budweiser whereby it's only going to be like Budweiser drinks sold there.
And Qatar also allowed that.
Yeah. Then 2 days before
That's
they
why
pulled
I
out.
was-
That is obviously wrong, but it's like
I don't mind respecting the
Stay
culture
mad.
Yeah.
of drinking, but you can't pull out
Yeah,
of
no,
the
yeah,
agreement 2 days
Yeah,
before.
Yeah.
And also expecting fans who wanted to have beer at the stadium were
Yeah.
promised that they could have it, and now
I think
they've paid for their
the
ticket.
issue then can go back to money because if Qatar's breached some sort of agreement, I'm sure they can.
They're going to
pay.
get FIFA. Oh, it's not going to be Qatar. I think Budweiser are preparing to sue FIFA.
And on the topic of pulling out early, Britain, I mean, no, I said like, from their agreement, England, the England national team said they were going to wear the armband.
Oh,
Then they pulled out before.
Okay, yeah.
They pulled
Let's
out
talk
the-
about
That's
let's
the
talk
one
about
love thing.
Let's talk about
Apparently-
Yeah, let's
like
talk about
LGBT.
yeah, yeah.
Personally,
LGBT.
if I was like a homosexual person and I saw England back out, I would be offended.
I
That
think
England didn't go all the way.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Plus,
that,
it's a yellow card. It's like
Because
what's that really affecting the food
if
situation?
the nation's going to be like, my minority is about to be accepted, it's going to be accepted. And then they go and like they back out. I understand why they backed out. 'Cause
I don't
they got
know
threats.
about it. I don't know about wearing armbands though, because then it just starts becoming politics, and
Yeah,
then you'll
it's
start
just
becoming
heavy.
wearing armbands for Palestine
No,
or
it-
Israel, and then it'll just get out.
And that
going
stuff
out
has
of
been
proportion.
banned. That stuff has been
Has
banned
it?
in the past.
Has it?
Yeah.
Oh no, in the past I've seen some
No,
Palestine.
because like if you did, I know this isn't exactly football, but if we go back to another sporting event like cricket, I think there was a captain of the, what was it, the England squad?
Moeen Ali.
Yeah, Moeen Ali.
to wear-
He was wearing a Palestine armband, and then he got.
It might have been Pakistan.
No, I think it definitely was Palestine.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah, and he got asked not to wear it.
Yeah,
you say it's becoming a political thing, but I'm pretty sure before the England game they all took the knee. Is that?
that's always been a political game.
Yeah, like
It's a political
And
game.
then,
It needs to be.
but like,
no.
the thing is, Qatar's not going to care about taking the knee. As in, they're not going to be incredibly anti taking the knee. But there's this whole idea that Qatar's kind of a homophobic environment. It probably is, but like incredibly, you can't exist and be gay there, and that's become a really big problem, right? So I just. Sorry.
To check
No,
that.
go on.
I saw an interview with one of the Qatari officials. I think he
I was gonna play it right now.
and he was talking to
Shut
a
up.
British I don't know if it will pick up well.
Don't play it. Just read it out.
Just read it.
It's like
I think we
I'll
need
pick
to
up.
say it.
yeah, just paraphrase it.
So-
Is not allowed, is it?
What do you mean? What's
Here in Qatar,
Everyone is welcome. Listen, public display of affection is frowned upon, and that goes across the board. Across the board. Qatar is a modest country. That's all that needs to be respected. Other than that, everyone's free to live their life.
people can be imprisoned for being homosexual in Qatar.
People can be imprisoned for being heterosexual in Qatar.
Chris,
I don't understand your question.
Are you saying that?
Heterosexual, homosexual people live in Qatar.
Are you saying that homosexual people can be open and feel
I
safe?
think public display of affection.
Okay, so that's the nuance. It's
I don't think the
basically
interview is really listening to him.
yeah, but
It's
it's
like
like
trying to fish a point out.
the nuance is that you can't have kind of homosexual displays of affection, right?
You
In
can't
public.
have
You
it.
can't even be hetero.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't see if I can't tell you for a fact that this is 100% the case. I'm sure if you're
You'd have
it
to
was a
go
man
into
or woman
experience, yeah.
and like someone pecked someone on the cheek, it'd be fine in Qatar.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you facts, but say this video is a fact. What the Arab Qatari official said was a fact. Then where is the problem?
It's not a fact.
It's
though.
not
Yeah,
a fact.
yeah,
Because,
okay. Let's
Like,
go.
why is it not a
Let's
fact?
go
Yeah,
back.
I saw a video that online. I saw it was on TikTok, I think. But
losing your
there was an honour killing of a man and of a woman who died because she was LGBT, or a man who was LGBT by her family. And then the Qatari law system, they didn't investigate it because it wasn't seen as a crime.
Yeah.
How is that not a problem?
Okay, no,
It
so-
is a problem, man.
It is a problem, 100%. But I think the fact there is to do with the Qatari culture. Not necessarily Qatari. It's like a kind of Arab Muslim country culture where maybe not as much care is allocated to these kind of people.
But
And
don't you think that's a problem?
that is a problem,
Yeah,
yes.
that's a problem.
But
I don't think anyone.
in the World Cup, that's not gonna happen. I just can't see that happening. It's like if you're a gay person and you've come to the World Cup, yeah.
But
the rule is
you're agreeing that's wrong. So
It's-
why,
yeah, it's wrong.
why should we give the World Cup to Qatar and allow them to have these views? And
Exactly.
please-
well, it's not.
Okay,
it's
wait,
not
wait.
an official view. It's just adopted by
Isn't it
But
the whole view
every-
that
every-
if you're homosexual, you do get persecuted?
What?
Well,
I think it's if I think the way it works is if you openly, and I do have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but so essentially, I don't want to get too much into like Islamic law because I'm not an expert, but essentially, if you have open like relations, so we can talk like sexual relations with someone of the same sex in public, and you're viewed by 4 people, 4 witnesses at least, then you've committed a crime. But as you can see, what cases will, because I don't think, I strongly believe that the Qatari government doesn't follow Islamic law properly.
Yeah,
Definitely.
no one does.
Because in what cases are people having like open sexual relationships in public with minimum 4 witnesses who are willing to come to the court and say this happened for certain?
I don't think this should become a case of homosexuality versus Islam. It should be homosexuality viewed in Qatar specifically, because I don't think Qatar reflects accurately on Islamic views.
Yeah.
Either way, the homosexuality thing. There's another point that I think Piers Morgan may have made, which you can take that how you will.
Yeah.
But seven other countries in the group stages also have homosexuality outlawed, and so if you remove 7, including Qatar, so 8 now, then now you've got 24. How's that going to work?
Yeah, but I think the problem is that Qatar is hosting the event and the other 7 countries aren't hosting the event, they're just playing.
But can you see how it can get to a point where now we should only give the World Cup to countries who have Western...
Liberal.
Yeah,
Yeah, really
and also
liberal.
like clean as well, but
Clean.
have no dirty parts.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what
but
No
that's the
country
country.
truly has a dirty
Exactly.
part.
Yeah.
I just think we shouldn't wait for a case where a gay person gets prosecuted or imprisoned. We shouldn't wait for that. We should be aware that it might happen. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah, like
but
prevention instead of cure.
If you're going to a country's, okay, fair enough, you disagree with the country's laws, fine. But if you're going to that country, prior, you should know to respect it, right? Yeah? Okay, so now everyone should be respecting it, regardless. You've decided to come to the country, you have to respect it. There's no bottom line. So the chances of someone breaking the law, very slim, that law, because everyone's so clued up about it because of how much you see on your Instagram. And then the chances, like, Qatar can't afford to kill someone because they're being gay. They just simply can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they
So
do it,
it's
that'll
like,
be-
it's not
Is
gonna
it too much to ask people not to wear like? Because I saw one. I think an ex-Wales.
Yeah, Welsh bucket hats.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah,
So she wore the rainbow bucket hat.
Yeah.
And obviously, like people can wear what they want, but is it too much to ask? Just
Not to wear it.
for while you're there, just don't wear it. Like if you come for the sake of football,
Yeah.
like just
Don't
don't
bring
wear the
politics.
hat. No,
Yeah.
No, I think.
But then again, I don't want to
that's-
take away from people protesting because like
I think-
I'm a big believer in like if people want to speak out against the masses, they should be able to.
Zia's saying don't bring the politics because to me, I'm not saying like thing, but it's just people saying don't bring the politics just doesn't make sense to me because it's like everyone can pick and choose what aspects
Yeah.
of politics to bring.
not-
I think politics keep it. If you want, no, but I think if you want to bring because
No, when I see Palestine
because
flags in the Celtic stand,
Yeah.
I get happy. So
Yeah, same.
I
So
can't say less.
You can't stop someone bringing a rainbow like.
No, but
colours,
if you bring
something.
if you bring in politics,
Yeah.
then bring in all of politics.
Yeah,
You have-
true.
you have
Well,
to-
no, because then the whole problem, like money comes in. Same with Mesut Ozil, right? He talked about Uyghur Muslims, and he's just finished his whole. He's just like erased.
I know, but that
think
was
that
a
the
risk
German-
he took though.
Yeah,
The
but-
German team doing the mask thing was slightly
Yeah.
hypocritical,
Yeah,
considering how they treated us.
What do you think about then? I don't know. I just see like on Instagram. I saw 433 the Instagram account.
Yeah.
On their post where Germany got beaten by Japan yesterday.
yeah.
It was like the pride flag one and then Japanese
I
flag
saw
too.
that,
was
yeah.
everywhere. I saw it.
I saw that.
And do you think that this politicization of football is like helping to breed homophobia?
I think it's bigger than that because politics is not strictly I mean, it does in this. It's going to be in the spotlight certainly in this tournament. But then, if you think about how Iran was protesting against,
Against the national anthem, did
their
they?
federation back home, I don't think it's specific homophobia that is bred, but I think politicizing football can end up polarizing the masses, which I think should be left keep it separate.
Right,
That's
you
my
can't.
One
opinion.
interesting
can't.
question is: Do you think the West is supporting LGBT or against Qatar?
Yeah, I think the way it's done is
very
to
much
be
against
against
Qatar.
is to be against Qatar.
Because if we change the issue, I do still think let's say it was like a different issue that Qatar was very much against, and I think the West would still jump on whatever that issue was to try and make a case out of Qatar.
I think the problem that we have nowadays is that, well, so for example, homosexuality now is one of the biggest controversies that we have, especially between the West and the East, because they have different ideals about it. Like just how, I know 100 years ago it was about race, and I think that due to the media, I think people are deciding to have two different sides, even though you can still respect Qatar, you can still respect the fact that the football's being played there, and also respect homosexuality. And I think that the fact that people are pitting them against each other, and also the fact that now people from the West, when people from the West say it, it's now the whole West, or when people from the East say it, it's now the whole East, or it's the whole of Islam. I think the fact that we're grouping these together and pitting them against each other is so dangerous, especially how easy accessible and how vast media is. I think that's the real problem here.
Because like now, people who didn't have strong opinions feel obliged to like pick one side, and now everyone's against each other for some reason.
Which is completely going against the entire idea of the tournament, which is to
especially
bring it together. So,
I mean, what do you think about Russia being not allowed to compete in the World Cup because of what's going on in Russia and Ukraine?
for me, I see it a lot as the US putting on a moral halo.
Yeah,
And
the
so
West,
just
yeah.
kind of. I mean, maybe you can
And it's
collectivize it as West, but I see it a lot more in the US.
I think it's a very similar thing with like the Iran thing. I think if the Russian team were allowed to go, they would do something kind of showy-offy to show that they don't actually support Putin, and they'll just keep playing football. And it's like,
But I think like the Russia thing's an actual war.
yeah, I know,
So-
but it's like
I
the
think
players and the people of the country don't have anything to do with it.
there should be a
To a
limit.
Well, I think
To
it's
a large
because
extent.
Russia is affecting other countries like Ukraine, but Iran's like quite centralized.
I
in
think Russia's
Yeah.
affecting everyone if you think about
Cost
what's
of
happening.
living.
Yeah. So it's kind of more. Okay, I wouldn't say more important. It's a very bad way to
It's
phrase
more
it.
global.
but
You see more.
It's a more global
Yeah.
effect. It affects more people.
And I think that the Iran gesture that they did, I think it was good. However, I'm not sure about the repercussions that they'll get when they return.
I thought they
And I think that's what makes it more brave is the fact that they are going against something that very easily could endanger
But like
themselves.
what they've done, it's not going to actually really
No,
achieve
definitely
anything in Iran.
But it's made a
Yeah,
statement.
it's-
That's the
Yeah,
thing.
it's still put a label on the Iranian national team.
Yeah, I
as
guess,
not
yeah,
being
yeah.
against, as not being supporting their republic.
And I agree with it because I would never have known about the Iran problem.
Yeah,
Like
fair
before, I never knew about it, and only after the statement that they made.
You didn't know about the whole.
No,
So we did a podcast episode.
No. As in, I knew about it, but I wasn't.
The severity of it.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we talked about it, but it wasn't.
So at least it had you
Yeah.
looking up like what
Exactly.
It was.
And I think
So
that's the step.
Yeah,
They
it gets
make you
people
educate
interested,
yourself.
We talked in the previous
well
episode about good ways of protest and effective ways of protest, and I think this is a good show of like something where it's not like sitting on the streets blocking up people.
Yeah.
It's a good way of getting eyes on something, an pressing issue, in a way that it's brave and gets people talking about it.
If the etiquette was that all this stuff could happen before and after the game, in terms of like the knee,
Like, it was a set time
the
period
photos,
to do it.
and then just like
Yeah.
during the match, just keep it football. I think
I think they would have kept
that would be a nice
They
way
did
to-
keep it.
I'm
for-
pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but when the Ukraine war broke out, people were saying like, I think it was Wales or something that went against Ukraine, and people were saying they should have let Ukraine win, and I think that's too much.
That's
That's-
I keep saying
Game's a game.
But I heard,
You have to play it.
I heard that people wanted Iran to be swapped with Ukraine.
Yeah, that's stupid.
I know England's playing some like commemorative games with Ukraine soon at Wembley, like after the World Cup and everything.
But what if they lose? Then it's more taxing on the Ukrainians. What's going on?
No, the money probably gets sent to
Oh
Iran.
yeah. Revenue, yeah.
No, but I think that I know. So what Mustafa said about they should do it before and after the game, I disagree with that. I think it would be better if they could. However, I don't think they would get their message across because, for example, me, I'll just turn the game on when it starts. I wouldn't actually look at the political stuff
Yeah, but
before and
then you
after.
will see it on social media. Unless it becomes so common that it happens every
I
game.
know, yeah, but
That's going to be a bit, you know.
I saw, like, for example, the Iran stuff on social media, like we were talking before, I saw it before, but I wasn't, I know, I think,
Invested.
invested. I think education And in that way, for stuff like that, I think that's the best way, because even though education for other people might not stop the conflict which is going on, I think that for one person to be educated is a one person who could make a big deal out of it, or have the potential to start something bigger. And I think that's the best way that we can try and solve this, rather than I know protesting in the streets.
That's why I found the fact that they didn't air the opening ceremony so disappointing.
Can you tell me more about that? I'm not too sure about that.
So I think it was like everything the West wanted out of Qatar was in that opening ceremony, in terms of like a unifying message. That do you know what I mean?
Who was it from BTS? Jungkook.
Yeah, no,
essentially the main bit was, so they had a Qatari boy. I don't think he's a boy.
Was it the 20-year-old that didn't have?
Yeah. So he's a disabled
man. Yeah.
And
that's such a sad story. Like,
and then he tells his story. Then Morgan Freeman walks on, sits next to him, and Morgan Freeman's basically posing the questions. So like, am I welcome to come to you? Like he's asking questions, but it's clear it's like a bigger sort of like he's assuming bigger things. So he's like, am I welcome to come? He's basically saying like, are the Westerns welcome to come to Qatar? Then the boy starts like reading bits of the Quran. Like he starts like in Arabic and English. He starts saying that like it's all about tolerance. It's about being alongside each other, even if we don't agree with each other, stuff like that. And instead we have Gary Lineker just slating the World Cup.
All those pundits are so hypocritical. Like Gary, even Alex Scott, who's wearing the One Love armband, just don't go to the World Cup. She's doing it for money now.
Yeah. And what annoys me is like when I think Roy Keane was like, so this is like not even I don't even think this was the opener. It's like a group stage game. So the World Cup started, like it's not going anywhere, and he's like the World Cup should never have been there. But it's like his salary is coming from being there and reporting.
So these guys on Sky Sports, they have to.
But I feel like we've seen that from the past. We always knew they were kind of biased.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They have to. They can't really. Well, they can speak out, but they choose not to. They choose to get their pay, and I think that's a major problem that we have nowadays.
I think this episode we focused a lot about the negative aspects of football, but just one good thing. You know when Saudi Arabia beat Argentina?
Yeah.
They got
national.
That was crazy.
That was incredible. I mean, they've been upsets this tournament.
Yeah.
So
Japan, Germany.
12. Yeah.
People were saying Japan deserves it based on how their fans act after every match. Which is a good gesture.
Yeah, but
it's like more rooted in.
It's not deserved. It's just football.
Even their changing room is like there's a photo of
They left out spotless.
Yeah, how the players have left it over like the past 3 World Cups. Everything's always like packed away. Everything's in. All their dirty clothes is like folded and everything. So that's one good like representation of how a non-Western culture, like a big positive and a good way to represent and publicize that was the guy going around filming, showing all the Japanese fans doing that.
I think we have to be careful not to pose like Japanese culture and East Asian culture as a whole as like this model minority.
Yeah.
And then don't pose it as like something that as what other minorities should strive to be like, because they're all different. But let's stop it for another day.
Yeah, I was going to say that like also what Dan was saying, that we can take aspects from other cultures. We're not taking the whole culture, because we can't glorify everything.
Yeah.
But we can take aspects of culture, and I think that, like you were saying, the aspect of the culture where the Quran was being read out, but everyone in the UK who were watching on the BBC couldn't see that. That's education which isn't being shown, and I think that just by having that aspect could educate a lot of people in this country. And for example, like the fact that the Japanese fans were clearing up, I think that's an aspect that we can take to put in for our country as well.
I know.
That's actually a very, very eloquent point, Adi.
And there's some also like in Doha they have murals, is that the right word?
Murals.
Basically, they have sayings of the Prophet ﷺ and verses from the Quran, which are kind of propagating the ideas as a Arab or an Islamic nation would want to kind of present them. So like the peaceful qualities, the ideas of equality, which are very much prevalent in Islam. So I think that's just it's a good idea, but we don't tend to see a lot of that publicized.
I think that's trying to play the PR game too bluntly. It's like I think there's a way you have to do it where it's like you're not, because almost putting like a good message, literally putting a good message there isn't a way for people to talk about the good message. You have to do it in a way that it kind of feels natural for people to talk about.
I agree, but I think that even the fact that the message can be broadcast it to other people, I think that's a stepping stone. It doesn't have to be.
If it wasn't there, then we'd probably be saying we should probably have some sort of message there.
Yeah.
But I do think that the natural way probably works a bit better. But then it's harder to come across.
Yeah, exactly.
What you were saying about how it's too blunt, I don't know if I quite agree with that, because I saw this before. More than 600 people, or over 500 football fans have already been converted just since the tournament started.
Andrew, take one of them.
It's going to be speed. It's going to be
obviously.
It may be like
it may be fabricated.
The capacity. But I do know a lot of like big Islamic preachers who have like big social media followings, where they're like talking to people, having events where people could come and listen if they wanted to, and just like learn not only about the religion but about the culture as well.
Yeah, I guess that's probably like an aspect of the World Cup. Like, if you're going to the country, you want to understand. Well, I don't know if you want to. But it's like part of it is to understand that country, and obviously in Qatar, like the religion is a big aspect. So if you were to go maybe back in the day to Brazil for the World Cup, like you're kind of you're indulging in what it is to be Brazilian, and that's part of the World Cup.
I think that's part of going to any country is joining in with the culture.
Yeah.
I think
It's just when it conflicts with your own.
I think we've talked about this serious topic, but what are World Cup predictions?
Okay, yeah, let's get some finals.
I'm Argentina, but since
I think we should
You
go
think they're
around
gonna
the
take-
I'm
Yeah,
telling you
definitely.
guys, Saudi Arabia, Japan, that's the only finals.
Mine's England.
no Brazil.
To win.
Yeah.
to win. Who's in the final? Who's in the final?
I don't know the like.
Don't rule out Costa Rica. Just don't rule them out.
Oh, just winners. So, what was it? Who do you
I'll
think?
say Saudi Arabia. I'll back them.
England.
Brazil.
Go with England, I think.
I think
What?
Brazil. I want to say England, but
I really want Portugal to win, but I think it's going to be France.
I really want Denmark to win, but I don't know. I don't think any of the top teams will win it. I think it'll be.
You mean like a dark horse?
Yeah, dark.
yeah, it's
horse.
definitely
I can
going to be
see-
something.
Okay, wait, who's your dark horse for the
Teams
tournament?
are really good.
Because it's quite.
I know Spain is a
Mine's
dark
Uruguay.
horse.
No, Spain can't be a dark
No,
horse.
It's not a dark
Spain-
horse.
Spain
Seven
do
nil.
very well.
Mine's Uruguay.
I think Denmark.
I don't know enough
Denmark
about
did.
football.
No, Denmark are good. They were like
Denmark
good in
are
the
very
Euros.
No, they're dark horse.
Wait,
They
you
are
know
dark
when
horse.
we're doing the predictions for the next prime minister? Did
Yeah, no.
anyone
Yeah,
say-
so I said Rishi at first.
Okay, so that means
Okay.
technically one of us are going to be right by fact.
My dark horse is Saudi Arabia.
Same.
So,
Just one final thing. One great thing, like despite the controversies of this World Cup, one great thing is just like the culture we've had in the school currently. You know, like hiding the games, pencil cases.
That's like core memories.
Yeah, we'll put in a clip of when England scored.
if we get to the semis, it's gonna be great.
Will semis be
Will they be in school?
I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
know.
I know we don't
I
have
I
another
think all
group stage
schools
game.
should like play the England game.
Yeah, if we get to a semi, then we have to.
Yeah.
I know schools that have like we have obviously the lunch time where we can watch it. Some schools for England matches generally
Dedicated.
dedicate
Yeah,
that's such a
time
good
for
idea.
their
That's
family,
such a good idea.
which is nice.
I
but-
think even if it's like I don't know 4 o'clock or something, I think they should still play it so people can come after school.
Yeah, if you want
People
to-
would actually do that.
So they
And
would-
if they did public broadcast, like they do it. Like
Yeah,
around
like,
like
we're in
real
anomaly
podcast.
because everyone lives far.
But yeah.
But I think, especially with those local schools, everyone lives near the school. I feel like kids would really enjoy that.
Yeah, because kids like we can't just go to the pub and turn.
Yeah, and you can be with friends.
We could, but it's debatable. And I think that if a school were held in their hall, I think it would be such a great atmosphere.
Yeah. Well, it's been an exciting World Cup so far. Not controversies.
upsets.
Two major upsets. I'm sure there's some more to
I
come.
think there was a parallel between Argentina and Saudi Arabia, and because they both had the penalty as their first goal. Second half,
I don't know
both
enough about
teams.
football.
Wait, there's a score update right now. I think it's half time at the South
Yeah, half time they were done.
0-0.
But Switzerland did beat Cameroon. I thought they were gonna come back.
Well done, Switzerland.
Okay.
We'll see you next week, hopefully with a special guest.
Oh,
yeah. Essential.
Do you know what we're talking about? That is
We'll find
we
some.
should
Alright. Thank you very much for watching.
Thanks, guys.
See you next week.